Happy Christmas, and let's face it, it'll soon be over. You'll be surrounded by wrapping paper and empty quality street tubs. So let's talk about what cures the post-Christmas blues. Travel plans! And I've got some incredible ideas for 2025. Now before we dive in, I just want to thank everybody who subscribed, liked and commented over the past 8 months I've been running this channel. It gives me the motivation to keep turning up and keep improving, and the only way I can do that is if you like, comment and subscribe and tell me what you want me to do. I'm going to focus a lot more this year on budget travel and unusual travel, and I can't wait to share more adventures with you in 2025. So let's have a look at some amazing things you can look forward to, and if you stay till the end, there's a real banger that will really surprise you. So why plan now? Well, January, sometimes the prices are good. Having a trip planned helps you beat the winter blues. I don't know about you, maybe I'm just shallow. If I haven't got something going on in my life that I'm looking forward to, it brings me down. And a few small trips over the winter can make the lovely British summer come sooner. It's not going to be here for long, so you might as well enjoy yourself waiting for it. But January isn't a bad time. Everybody is broke after Christmas, and the airlines and the travel companies know this. So they need the cash flow. That's the time to snag the deals. So let's make 2025 a year to remember. Now, those of you that know me know I've always got something planned, and we've got a trip planned to Krakow in February. It's not exactly winter sun, but it is February half term when the kids are off, and it's generally more expensive to go anywhere else. We have booked a nice hotel just on the outskirts of Planty Park, so you can access the old town really easily, which is where most things are happening. Take a day trip to Krakow, go to the Oscar Schindler factory, have a really good time, and anyone who's been there will tell you that the eating out, etc. is always good value. Now we've snagged this in the Daniel Griffin Apart Hotel, which is quite a nice looking place, for 3 of us for £94 each, including flights. 3 nights, 94 quid. You'd be mad not to. You'd spend more than that just having a weekend in this country. If you've watched me before, you know I like a bit of the quirky, and this one is no exception. I'm afraid it's another cold place, but hey ho. Did you know, well I didn't until the other day when I was chatting to someone on the internet, that Stockholm has the longest art gallery in the world. It's the way they've laid out all their train stations. Stunning, and I've just got to see it. And then did you also know that Arlanda Airport has a hotel built inside a 747? I didn't until today, but wow, that is impressive. And I've had a quick look online. If you fly there with Ryanair, who are the cheapest, from Stansted, and stay in the jumbo jet, 3 people can go for 2 nights for £83 each. £83. It's mad, isn't it? Maybe you could stick that on your bucket list. And finally, for the short breaks, let's pick somewhere a little bit warmer, shall we? I know I've been to Athens recently, but this one would be a nice one to go to again. We went in December, temperature was in the early 20s, there was sun, nobody was hot, nobody was bothered, and the crowds were relatively low. Bingo. Well, I've just found online now, go to Athens, first week of March, stay in a nicer hotel than we stayed in, closer to Monastricky Square, 3 nights, flying out of Luton, 2 people, £104 each. Not being funny. That'd give you something to look forward to. And if you watch my video tomorrow, I'm going to do something about the food in Athens, because I went for the art, I went for the architecture, but the food was next level. Right, before we move on to the one that really blew me away, I'm going to go for another one that's on my bucket list. I'd love to do this year. Now bear in mind, when you're looking at all the brochures, you're looking at Spain's going to be 600-700 quid a head in June, even now. But the one I fancy is Kuala Lumpur. Now, I've looked for March because when you're booking long haul, you can get the cheaper flights at about the 3-month point. But obviously, if you're going to make it your holiday of a lifetime, you're going to shell out to go in June or July. So, cutting a long story short, I'm finding flights return from about £500. Bingo, that's unbelievable. So, we do what I normally do. We go onto Google Flights, don't enter any dates, see roughly what you're looking at, find the best 2 dates, bang it into Expedia, and let's see what Expedia's coming up with. Now obviously I like a pool. Oh my god, starting from 571. That's pretty damn good for 2 weeks. So let's explore the options. Now some of these cheap, you're spending that sort of money, you don't necessarily want the cheapest hotel. But if we come down, we're getting into the slightly better places. Now I'm quite excited because the Hotel Mov's there at £6.42. When I've tried booking that through British Airways, when it's available on theirs, that can be silly money. Now the reason I fancy it is it's in Bukit Bintang, which is where everything's happening, and believe it or not, it's actually got a slide into reception and pools, everything else. Definitely in the premium range of hotels for Kuala Lumpur, especially when you consider that it's one of the cheapest cities in the world for luxury. But yeah, that looks banging. Now let's see what flights it's actually offering us. This is where it can get a bit messy. We'll select the room. And as you might guess, the cheapest flight is China Airlines. Now you can do that and get a really cheap deal. Personally, you're already spending $650. I know it's another 118, but Etihad, they're a respectable airline. Slightly longer journey time because the China one is quite long on the way back. Or you could even, for an extra £18, go for Malaysia Air, which would be direct flights both ways. Personally, this isn't the sort of holiday you do on a whim. It might be worth doing, especially if there's only two of you. Obviously, if you're looking at a family of four, £130 times 4, you're getting on for £520 difference for that direct flight. Might still be worth it. I don't know what your budget is, but all I do know is you can have 2 weeks in a paradise for less than you can go to Spain for. So let's move on to the one that really blew me away. Who wants a safari? Yes, a safari. I mean, can you imagine jumping into a jeep, tearing off into the bush and seeing the big 5 elephants, lions, buffalo, the lot? Well, it's possible and it's not as expensive as you'd think. I'm a budget travel channel, all said and done. So, let's have a look. This is a trip to Cape Town in South Africa, in the shadow of the beautiful Table Mountain. Well, I never thought I'd be talking about safaris on this budget channel, but I found this. And this was purely just looking for something a bit spectacular to put at the end of this video. I thought, where can I go that I've not talked about before? And yes, you can spend thousands on a safari, but you can also do it more reasonably. So for this one, I'm going to look at the best flight, reasonable hotel, take it down to Cape Town, possibly hire a car while you're there, and get on on one of the big 5 safaris. There's loads of packages. Via tour, you can do a 1-day one for as low as £100. Or you can buy a 3-day one where you're actually staying in a lodge. There's so much more to do in South Africa. It really would be a trip of a lifetime. So how do I go about this? Well, as always, I start with my trusty Google Flights. And for this one, I've deliberately tried to stay in what we would call summer, so June and July. And we find a couple of dates, again, just by not giving Google Flight a date option and just finding it, just seeing what comes up as the cheapest. And it looks like Turkish Airlines are one of the best at £609 for the flight. So you've entered it into Expedia and see what it's coming up with. There's quite a few choices. Now obviously you're now talking inclusive of flight. And I quite like the look of this one, Cape Oasis Guest House. It's got a pool, it's got terraces, you can do a bit of self-catering if it suits you. And the prices are quite reasonable, anywhere between $770 and $800 depending on the type of room you have. Let's face it, they look fully functional. And as expected, Turkish Airlines are the options that are there. So you're talking £800. But the other thing you have noticed with the Turkish Airlines, the baggage is included. So you're getting a decent baggage allowance as well. So, not sure what you think of that. I know I fancy it, but I've got so many other bucket list places to try first. I think my target for next year is going to be Malaysia because I've been fancying it for ages. And I think I might start going back to some places I've been before. Tokyo is definitely calling me. Well, not Tokyo as such, Japan in general. So, these are the sort of options that are open to you when they're bombarding you with adverts. I can guarantee you the first one that offers you a safari will be somebody like Kuoni, and they'll be like £4 ahead. Feel free, knock yourself out. The only thing you're losing by planning a little bit more independently is having to do your own transfers. I've recently been to Athens. Everyone said, oh, taxis can be expensive. Bit of research tells me in advance you can buy a tourist travel pass that covers a trip to the airport and back once, which you only want to do once, let's face it, you're not going to go to an airport in the middle of your holiday. And that was €20 for the weekend. So the options are there, it's all down to research, and I'm hoping I can help you with some of that research as I delve into other countries. So anyway, with it being Christmas, there's another video coming out tomorrow. It's going to be about food in Athens, and we're going to push into the new year doing more of this. Thanks ever so much for watching, thanks for supporting me up till now, and we'll see you tomorrow.